Great experiences build great leaders. Great leaders build great teams. This is Building Great Sales Teams.
All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Building Great Sales Teams. We got a live one for you today. So if you're on Facebook, if you're on Instagram, or wherever else we're streaming, drop a like, drop a comment, ask a question. I got my man Jose Lopez today. He's a Marine veteran turned entrepreneur, CEO at Semper Solar, and he's an expert in sales consulting and leadership development. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, man? It's been a long time.
It's been a minute, man. You know, first things first, I miss you, bro.
Yeah.
You spoiled me. You and Sarah came down to San Antonio and worked with us for a couple of months and spoiled us. And we were like, man, we've got entrepreneur-minded, like good head on their shoulders friends. You know what I mean? And then you guys left us.
Yeah. No, I was telling Sarah, I was like, maybe I need to go back there, right? More often, or at least rebuild out there. We had an office there before, but yeah, we definitely miss it now. It's been a while.
Yeah, for sure, man. We're gonna be upgrading offices soon, so we'd love to have you anytime you guys want to come down and work or do a road trip or something like that. Okay, so you don't post enough, so I'm not always up to date on what's going on, so I'm gonna give you a hard time about that, but thank God for Sarah, because Sarah posts like every day. I'm always catching the stories and everything, so that's awesome. Second, how's married life, man? You've been married for what, 7 months now?
So, yeah, we just had our 6-month anniversary on the 11th. So it's been great, bro. It's been great. I mean, I'm blessed. Obviously, Sarah and I have been together for about 10 years now, but I've been blessed that I've been able to find, a supportive, not only wife, but also a supportive entrepreneur that understands, a startup phase to something. So, it was a weird time to get married as a brand new, business, and she's starting her brand new business, but I had to make that move, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you had to lock that down for sure.
For sure.
I remember having that conversation with you about it, and it was like, hey, you need to get this done, man. It doesn't matter what the situation is or what you've got ahead of you, that there's never a right time, right? And let's get into your history a little bit. You served in the Marines. First of all, what was it like being being an entrepreneur? We're typically like, don't want to follow the rules, aren't good with authority. You know what I'm saying? So you transitioned from being a Marine to being an entrepreneur. What did you learn from the Marines that you use today?
So, one, a lot of discipline. Anything that I feel like is gonna, do me well in life, I'm gonna try to be consistent at it. A lot of leadership skills, understanding the front force, understanding the more of the senior role as well. Always being able to roll up my sleeves. I think I learned from the Marine Corps. Having a tight camaraderie and people that you trust is something that I really loved about the Marine Corps. But yeah, I think, business wise, again, just the discipline and to be able to challenge myself and understand that I've been through worse. So I can do this, again, whether it's, and during the pandemic, when we switched partners, just a lot of different steps. I feel that I've gained a lot of, courage in myself to start something that I know I can finish.
Absolutely, brother. And then we were just talking about that before we hopped on the live here. How I didn't realize how undisciplined I was until I tried 75 hard. And I failed it 6 times before I finally got it the 7th, and I had to have my wife do it with me for me to finish it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, whatever talents I had being an entrepreneur, they were definitely mitigated by the lack of discipline, so I can see how that can be a huge asset for you in entrepreneurship. And so going into kind of that history a little bit, your experience is mainly, from what you've told me, was mainly in traditional energy, and you still had that campaign running whenever you had just joined Apex and you and I met, and you had been thinking about going solar. What kind of made you make that leap, and how have things been going since?
Yeah, I think it was the FOMO with Apex and solar, right? And talking to a lot of studs, during that time you were running a successful company, A lot of other Apex people with the Apex Solar Group that you started were running successful companies. So I definitely had the FOMO that when I started Apex, I was like, man, I'm doing, deregulated energy. I'm doing community solar. Right now, solar is the hot ticket. It's got a high climax. So I think it's a good time for me to jump in and try it out. So it's been great so far. I'm blessed that I have the right leadership in place to be able to help, lead and scale this team. Definitely couldn't do it without the team. But in the beginning, as any other solar company or any other company in general, it's a roller coaster. I definitely gained a lot of white hairs starting solar. I didn't expect as much time and I guess bandwidth that I needed to commit into this business. But now I understand, right? Now I understand the reason why. But when you have the right people in place that can help you in certain departments, you could, off task some of those categories.
Yeah, and that's the thing of, and I went through the same growing pains when I switched from, or I didn't really switch, but when we were doing AT&T and then we started our solar campaign. It's like AT&T is cable and internet, right? And so that's a very binary product, very easy to compete against the other, big three AT&T or cable and internet companies. It wasn't that difficult, versus solar. You've got 100 companies you're competing against, and you're working with a highly competitive market, but also a highly complicated product, right? And so tell me about some of the, maybe even the positions you have in the company that you didn't have before, because you could be a one-man show and there wasn't a whole lot of like operations, there wasn't project management, there wasn't like having to babysit these, projects and everything in between. You kind of had to, I guess, grow a little bit in terms of your team, right?
Yeah. And I think the project management is probably the most difficult one that, I didn't expect myself to sit there and whether it's, handling some type of landscaping with trenching or some type of roof work. I mean, I've done it all. But yeah, no. So when I started, really scaling with recruiting and I had the right person in place to help, at least with some of the recruiting side, I didn't have to oversee that department as much. And then I had somebody start overseeing the interview process, the preliminary interview process with our company. So I didn't have to spend that much time, doing that. Now I'm taking more of the final interview process and the hiring process. I was just talking to Sarah about it yesterday because in a way, Sarah is still the queen of the chessboard. She's still the brains of the operations. We talk about work. It sucks, but we talk about work, probably every other night, whether she, she asked me questions about the company or I ask her questions about her company. But I was just talking to her about, having somebody do the orientation part of the company, right? Because I need to start really kind of, duplicating and replacing myself. One of the things I learned from Apex and every department, so I can start taking care of next level stuff, right? And that's the goal. And again, I have the right partner in place to help me with that as well. Somebody that you've met before too. But yeah, I'm excited about where solar is going. I think right now in Illinois, it's not really as big as other states like Texas, California. So we're doing pretty good damage right now, and we see summertime to at least double our numbers in production and headcount. So we're excited about that.
I think you guys are about to reap all the rewards from the work you did last year. All those freaking months of like not getting where you wanted to be, not feeling like your leadership was where it needed to be. And then all of a sudden it was like a couple months ago, boom, everything hit, and it hit at the perfect time. So if you're in any kind of sales, that summertime is prime time, right? So when you start recruiting is like January, you know what I mean? Like you go heavy, it is recruiting mode for the first quarter, and then Q2 is when you start reaping some of those rewards. And I feel like you guys are seeing that now. You guys had a 34 sale month last month, and that's with how many people on the team?
I think we had seven. There was like 4 setters, 3 closers. But yeah, that was I definitely finally started seeing the fruit to my fruit. You know what I mean? I it's been a while. I was just, I have an Excel sheet, just like any other, sales company does. And I started seeing, I think there was 2 months. I hate to be this open about it, but I think there was 2 months, obviously I was with partners that you and I were working with, kind of like the middleman with EPC. I'm not going to say the name, but that's with the Q. But my point is that there was like 2 months where I didn't have any sales for a whole 30-day mark, right? And I had overhead already, right? Yes, I had another campaign going with Community Solar, but my goal was never really to profit from that. My goal was just to keep investing into that right partner in place to grow that campaign. But I, finally started seeing it pay off. We had to make some pieces in the chessboard, right, for it to start working. But I'm excited. I think being able to run a business is once you have the history and the training and the discipline to know what it takes to start a brand new business, whether it's in Illinois, whether it's in San Antonio, whether it's in Corpus Christi for you, or Cincinnati, just in different markets that Sarah and I have been. I understand what it takes, right? So if I've done something before, and then my goal is, I know I can do it again. It's just how fast can I do it, right? How fast can I start making those moves in the chessboard so I could start really taking care of the bigger moves? So
absolutely. Okay, so just to get a little tactical real quick, and then we'll move on. So earlier you said you assigned someone the recruiting in the company, and that kind of gave you your pivot point that you needed to free yourself up a little bit. Was that a salesperson that you promoted to that position, or that they took on more of a role, or is this someone that you hired straight into that position?
Yeah, it's somebody that we hired straight in. That department, it's the engine of the company, right? You and I both know, right? It's the engine of the company, but it's also the department Sarah and I both hate. At least myself, I never really got involved in that. But when she stepped down years back, I had to oversee that department, and I started seeing now it's like how important it is to look at, not just how many new starts do you have, but all the KPIs. Indeed isn't cheap, right? So understanding that you have to make sure you're getting your return on the investment. So we delved in. I interviewed some people remotely, and I found somebody that wanted to take the position, and offered her a great structure for her to get promoted and be compensated with team performance and growth as well. So beautiful. We all, everybody here, whether it's the recruiting department, whether it's the the management team, or whether it's the appointment setters entry level, they all have at least a model where they can get promoted in our company.
100%. What are some of the KPIs that are important to you guys in terms of recruiting?
I would say how many people she books on a daily basis, and how many people show up, right? Sales is all about the relationship that you build, the impulse that you build behind, either it's a phone call, whether it's somebody at the door. So I look at that. I think that's important. How many people can you call compared to how many people show up to an interview? Nowadays, people get somehow lost and then just never show up. They confirm in the morning, but then just never show up. They're like, "Hey, I'm 5 minutes away," and they just never show up. So we look.
I will never understand what is the point of doing that. If you're not going to show up, you don't even have to say you're not going to show up, but don't tell me you're 5 minutes away.
Yeah. Somehow they got UFO just kind of sucked them in or something. They went to a different planet. We look at that, and then I look at my retention too, right? That's something that's important too. Is how many seconds final interviews do I do? How many of them do I extend the position, and then how many of them actually show up, right? Because if I realize that something, I changed something in the pitch. Everything we do is scripted in my company. Everything we do is scripted. So if I change something and I wanted to get fancy with something and start using certain words, certain things, and then I started seeing a drop, right? That's when I know it's like, maybe I should have not said that, or maybe I shouldn't be doing this, right? So we look at all that in the recruiting department.
Yeah, we were talking about it in our Brickyard group yesterday, which is a sales community that I put together, and we were talking about the sales program and how if everybody isn't doing at least in the ballpark of the same thing, using the scripts that you provide, then that skews the data. So if I go in there and I make a change and I say, hey, I want to see if I can get a better conversion rate out of the opportunity meeting, and 3 of my managers are all doing something different, then that change that I make won't really register, or I'll get bad data on the back end and I'll make bad decisions as a CEO. So it's incredibly important, like you said, for everything to be scripted and everybody to be running through it. It doesn't necessarily have to be word for word, right? But structure and bullet points, are basically the things that you want to get across have to happen in order for the data to display properly out of the back end. So I think that's incredibly important. One of the things that we're diving into next week in that group is compensation, right? And this is, I asked this question in my building great sales teams group last week, and the overwhelming response was commission only, right? So that is still a strong and that is still a strong comp plan for sales leaders, right? So what does y'all's look like? Because solar has a, you know, 60 to 90 day time in which you're gonna, that's if you make a sale on day one, you know what I'm saying? Or you set an appointment and it makes the sale a week later, right? So what are you guys doing to kind of bridge that gap? Or is it something that you set the expectation early on?
Yeah, well, that's one. We always set expectations. Anytime somebody, meets or fails to meet expectations, is because there's no proper set expectations in the first place. So I think if I'm very transparent, and I get a lot of feedback. Actually, I just got one yesterday. Like, I had a candidate that said, I like how you're very transparent, very open. I really like the structure. You went over everything. The guy was like, yeah, I interviewed a lot of downtown companies and they're just, they're sugarcoating everything. They're not going to be very open and transparent. I'm like, yeah, that's not how we do business. So we do set expectations, and then we find install partners that can install too fast.
You fix it on the other end.
Yeah. So right now, install time is about 4 to 6 weeks. I think we had the fastest done in 21 days. I don't know how. I'm not going to ask questions because I know there's a lot of back end stuff that I'm not going to get involved with. But yeah, no. So you find those partners that can install pretty fast, and then you set expectations, and you compensate them up front, and then obviously at the back end you also compensate them as well. So I think that's been working for us.
Awesome. So sorry, I had to I had to do some maintenance over here. My allergies are hitting me like crazy. Okay, so I want to kind of pivot to you and Sarah real quick. One of the things that I appreciated about you when I met you guys at Fogo de Chao. By the way, are you going to MDM?
Yeah. We're
Okay.
flying Thursday night. We were running 3 block of appointments that day. A 1 and a 3,
Nice.
and I think a 5. And then we're straight to the airport.
Dude, that'll be great if you can go into MDM with like 3 sales under your belt in one day.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, for sure. That's the goal. But yeah, we'll be there Thursday night. So unfortunately, we won't be able to do the Fogo de Chao one that they're doing. Yeah. But we just chatted in the group on Apex. I guess you should still be in there, but you dropped out. I don't have no reason why. I mean, you're still in Apex. You're still doing solar. The Apex Solar group, the messenger group that you kind of started. No, you're not in solar. You're not in solar, but there's people. I'm not going to drop names, but there's people in there that are not in solar, and they're in there. And you added him in there, so
yeah,
you accepted it. But we just chatted in there, and we'll probably do a different day as a solar, just combine a meal.
Yeah, that sounds good, man. So anyway, so I met y'all at that Fogo de Chao dinner, and I forgot who organized it. I can't remember, but I met you and Eric Sanchez. I mean, we all met at that dinner. We were all doing solar, so we just had some great conversations and everything. But that was the start of our relationship. And right away, I caught on to you guys. Like, y'all are amazing networkers, you and Sarah. You know what I mean? And y'all do it as a team. And it's very smart, especially when the couples come up. Like, Sarah's there chatting it up with the wife. And Sarah's one of those women that can have a business conversation, or she can have like just a fun, wife to wife conversation about, complaining about their husbands or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So you guys are so great at that. Where did that even come from? Or is that just more just who you guys are as a people?
Yeah, it's just who we are. Our background is into that networking. That old model with our previous partner Sitcor, where you have to network with people. But believe it or not, you might not know this, but Sarah's an introvert. So when it comes to those type of events, it's like too much for her. She doesn't. She won't be going to this MDM. But she does it. And, she means well when she doesn't. I'm not saying, even though she's an introvert, I'm not saying that she doesn't mean well and she doesn't actually enjoy having these conversations.
Right.
But afterwards, she needs to just decompose and kind of just be out, in the forest and or as she says, out in the desert somewhere and just watching the sun or something. But yeah, she's an introvert. I'm an extrovert. I like talking to people, right? Striking a conversation on anything, right? So, yeah, we do it too. We're actually, intentionally on what the conversations we have and the people that we have conversations with. I think, being in Apex and being in that group, I think when I met you there, what was it, 2021? Was it 21?
Yeah.
Yeah,
may
that
have
was
been the end of 2020.
That was my
you're right,
second.
2021.
All I know is that was my second MDM.
Yeah,
Or
that
I
was my
guess,
first.
yeah, my second MDM, and I already had started building, right, when the Apex was like 700, 800 members.
Right.
I already started building my machine, but
Mhm.
not building it like I'm supposed to right now. Right? And being consistent, posting, which is another conversation.
I think there's something to be said about you focused on your business. You know what I'm saying? And the way our business is built, and don't get me wrong, like if you had outsourced this, maybe, you know what I mean, you maybe would have gotten more, who knows, right? But you know how to build that model, which is a heavy door-to-door model, direct sales model, relationship based, culture based, in the office. Everything that is happening that's growing your business is happening inside those walls. You know what I'm saying? And so I think there's something to be said about the fact that you did that, and then now you're seeing these amazing results. It's not always the right time to build your machine. You can always build your machine, but it's, just depending on your bandwidth. It may be that you need to focus on the day-to-day inside your business, because that's what is required of you. So
Yeah, 100.
I don't see an issue with that. I know we preach it all the time in Apex, but it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to go bang some doors and make some money.
Yeah, and what it comes down to is when you're building a machine, again, you're trying to establish a presence, and the presence is supposed to give you, I mean, let's be honest, some type of return on the investment, right? It's supposed to bring you something. So the way I looked at it is, if I need to scale my company, right, I can either build my machine, or I can build solid relationships like you and I both build, right? And other Apex guys I've built good relationships with, where it's going to give me the information I need, where that can get my return on the investment, rather than being able to, sell deals and post and get like a referral from that.
Right.
Whether just, train people to do that and learn training from you, or like flying down to San Antonio and, meeting up with you and Wayne, or, in Utah when we went down there for SolarCon, having good relationships out there. So I think that was the, and I will never forget this moment when you told me, what did you say? I think it was during Utah, and I laughed, and I'm never going to forget it. You said, dude, you guys are, I don't know how you phrased it, but you said, you guys are cheaters, you and Sarah, because you guys are not an Apex executives, but you hang out with everybody that's an Apex executive. Everybody thinks you're an Apex executive.
Yeah.
And, I was just talking to Tony. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We were at we were at I'll be honest. So this is what happened. We were at last year's MDM, right? Whatever, it's past or whatever. We were last year's MDM, and it was when who was the speaker for Apex Thursday? David Goggins.
Yeah.
And we had to take pictures with him, and executives went first. And, Tony and I, we were going to go to dinner somewhere after work with a bunch of other people. I'm
telling on you.
It's the past. It's the past. And it's funny? The person that let us in is no longer in Apex. So, I mean, whatever. So anyways, Tony was like, dude, just go up in line right now. I'm like, dude, we're not an executive. He's like, what? You're not? He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, dude, this whole time I thought you were. I'm like, no, I'm not. He's like, oh, shit. All right, well, then after executives is entrepreneurs. So then you can go up there. I'm like, dude, I'm not even an entrepreneur. And he's like, what? He started really checking his relationship with me. And he's like, dude, this guy is, and again, it's just, I mean well when I build a relationship with certain people, that I don't need to, again, I still think executives and entrepreneurs is very valuable, right? But I'm gonna build a relationships where I need, and I'm not just pull information from people. And I don't want anybody ever think that where I'm not a giver. I'm an open playbook with anything, right? I think that's one of the biggest things that I've talked to my parent company, my partners, is when I see there's a mutual like, hey, I give you, you give me, and let's both
Yeah.
grow together. I'm an open playbook, right?
Yeah.
It could be a stranger, it can be people in Apex, as long as we're both meaning well to help each other out.
No, I love it. And I remember that. I told you that you hacked Apex, basically.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
And it was funny because I didn't even know there was levels when I joined. You know what I mean? Or, Stuman was like, yeah, because I had paid him for a speaking fee. And he was like, yeah, I'll do the speaking gig for free if you join executives. And I'm like, fuck yeah, let's go. Oh shit, it's 30 grand. And this was 2 years ago, so it was a lot cheaper back then. Or no, it was 40 grand. And I was like, oh shit, like this is pretty heavy. So I went all in on it. And of course, that next year I spent over 6 figures and freaking development events and PJ trips and everything. And I learned a ton. But there was fucking Jose right next to me the whole way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, granted, you joined Inside Investors Club, which that was a hefty amount. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So there was some investment there. But yeah, like you and Sarah are great networkers. So I just wanted to point that out to anybody listening. With everything that you learned from Jose here in as far as building up the sales side of his business, you can learn just as much from the networking piece and the relationship that you and Sarah have. I mean, a dual entrepreneur relationship is powerful, that you can have those conversations. Speaking of that, right? And so me and my wife are pretty good about this because she was a school teacher before she was an entrepreneur. You know what I'm saying? So our dynamic is different. We don't talk about work a whole lot anyways, but you guys, for all of your marriage and the better part of a relationship, have both been entrepreneurs. So how do you turn that off and just kind of focus on pouring into each other?
I think, whenever we have that one time we do have off, right? Whether it's, going to Miami, we just went to Miami, or going to, Mexico, or going to Colombia. If we know we're not meant to be working, at least not anymore. We used to still find a way to work, but now if we know we're not meant to be working, we actually just, completely, turn off everything to do with that. So I think we're very intentional with, whenever we're taking the time off to not really talk about work. During the week at home, it's a different story, but we started doing things now. 2 weekends ago, we had a nice little bonfire in the backyard, right? I bought a little fire pit. I put in some steaks and just hung out in the backyard. So it's it's hard for us to do it. And I'll be honest, I'm the one that it's hard for more. She doesn't really tell me so much about her stories. There's a lot of horror stories that she has. You could just imagine Airbnb, Colombia. There's a lot of horror stories and rated R stories that she tells me about that. But it's more me, right? I think I've gotten a lot better, but sometimes when we first started solar, one of the bad habits that I had was I would get home and I would decompose and try to talk to her and vent to her. But I realized that she needed a time off because from her busy day and her shitty day at work, that I was just making things worse, right? So I definitely had a change there. We had a good conversation. That's one of the things that we've improved on really well, and I think it's been working really well in our relationship and our marriage, is communication about everything, right? If we don't feel that we should be doing something or it's affecting our relationship, we fix it right away. So she told me straight up, she was like, every time you come home, you want to talk about this, and I started learning. I was like, yeah, you're right. I did it only because, not to vent. That's what she didn't understand. Not just to vent, but I knew if I vented to her, and she's the one that kind of helped start this business back in 2013. She would just listen to that one nugget of how my business is not going where it's supposed to be going, and she would tell me what to improve on right away, right? Because she's done this before, right? Multiple different states. So that's the real reason why I was doing it. I wasn't doing it to complain, but it just came out like I was complaining, right? Because I was. But
absolutely.
But
no, that's a good pivot to making your business.
Yeah. We definitely tried to separate, work and life now, right? At least one day a week, because before I wasn't really working Saturdays. Now I'm working Saturdays, so Sundays, and try to get out, go out and have some fun. We might be in Austin for Formula One.
Nice.
Whenever that is, August or September. So if we get there early, maybe we can stop by San Antonio. We can figure it out.
Well, we could always come up there and meet y'all. You know what I'm saying? Shoot me the dates and we'll make it happen, brother, for sure.
Yeah, that'd
Okay.
be awesome.
So what does your business look like? You know, y'all are having a lot of sales success right now. And you being the kind of entrepreneur that you are, I mean, you're pretty singularly focused, right? Are you looking at other campaigns? Are you looking at other products? Maybe, what do they call it? Auxiliary products that are easy to add on, you know, roofing, anything like that. Is that in your pipeline? And I want to talk about the next 18 months because a lot of people talk about like what's your business look like in 5 years? What does it look like in 10 years? And you and I know that shit changes like crazy. So as we can only really plan about 18 months out, right? And so what do you think? Are y'all gonna just focus on solar and focus on scaling that and the sales for that? And then, you know, referral partners and that's great. Extra money, sure. Or are y'all looking at pivoting to other products too?
Yeah, definitely not pivoting into other products as far as, you know, putting my time into that, you know, because then, you know, one of the great things that Ryan Stillman always said is, you know, if I'm working for the same dollar twice, what am I doing? Right. So I would never want to invest in something where now I'm making money from solar, but then I'm spending money, I'm working there again on roofing. So I wouldn't want to do that. Now, referral partners were always good. Right now I'm free. So whoever wants to, you know, DM me on roofing companies in Illinois, you know, I can definitely
cue the hot dog meme hitting your face.
I'm definitely, you know, interested in having, you know, partners in different regions here in Illinois. But 18 months, yeah, it's a good question. I want to open up a satellite office in Illinois. I think, you know, eventually, you know, we're going to scale to past 25, 30 people, right? So I definitely see that happening just end of summertime. Just the way the recruiting is going right now, just the way our guys are focused right now. And, you know, everybody's excited in our company. So I could definitely see 25, 30 people happening. So that's why I would want to just, you know, open up, have that leadership start taking that responsibility of, you know, managing a satellite office in Illinois and then in a different state as well. I'd love to be in you know, either Dallas. I'm hearing good things. I'm from Florida as well, although it's very hot out there, but I'm hearing good things from Florida. So I'd love to expand and have you know, another location somewhere. That's always the goal here with our company is to expand into a different state.
Hell yeah. I know Goldman, one of my clients that does shared solar, he's looking to expand up to some weird city named Peoria or Piera, something like that. And then after that, it's going to be suburbs of
Forest
Chicago.
Park.
Yeah. Possibly Forest Park. But I think he's going to maybe look a little further in near the Chicago area. So, but anyways, no, that's a great state to be in right now for energy in general. So I don't see you having any issues there. And then, a ton of referral partners in roofing, especially in Apex alone. So I don't think you'll have a problem getting that there. In terms of your leadership, what are the positions you need right now that you can see like, hey, if I put someone in this position, like you talked about not doing the orientations anymore, right? And so that is obviously a management, you know, maybe not trainer, but like assistant manager type responsibility. How are you getting your guys there to that point where they can do that?
Yeah, well, one of the first things I think I need to fulfill, and I already have the right person in place. I just need to really start, you know, breaking down those responsibilities so they know, you know, what am I expecting from them. But is, you know, overseeing the appointment setters department. That is the hardest part about our business. Is the canvassing parts. Is motivating those guys. Is making sure, you know, they're hungry every day. So that will be a role that I'm going to, you know, fulfill very, very quickly. And then just the operations side in the company, right? That was one of the biggest things that I learned from Apex is that I was working a lot in the business and not on the business. So being part of operations on a daily basis, right? As soon as I stepped away from the office, right, you know, the mice will play. So I started realizing, that I needed to, you know, have somebody in charge of that department where I could oversee more of like, all right, how's the appointment setters doing? How are the closers doing? How's recruiting doing? Right? More of that role, more of the CEO role. So yeah, I'll have an area manager. overseeing appointment setters. And then, again, I have the right person, Andres, that's, a partner here in the company that's overseeing more of the operations side on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, he's come a long way in solar alone, but in his career now. 'Cause I remember when we first had a conversation about him, he was very new to the industry in general. He had worked with you on another campaign, but that was about it, right?
Yeah. No, I'm excited of where he's going. Right, we constantly I gotta keep reminding him to think bigger. Of like, dude,
Hmm.
where we can see our company, in the next 2 to 4 to 6 years, right? And he's excited, and he's got a lot of experience. He's seen startup companies. I've been part of startup companies, so now we're both having the right mindset of where we
Hmm.
can see our company go in the next 12 to 24 months.
Fantastic, brother. So, last question of the show, and I'm pretty sure you already know what it is. Maybe you were ready for it. I don't know. But legacy. What does legacy mean to you, and what legacy do you want to leave behind?
I think to me, legacy is, about, I don't have kids yet. So, I once asked somebody a question 2 years ago, and, in daily announcements of this, at what point what's been your most proudest moment? And, a
Hmm.
lot of people gave different answers. And it was crazy enough that, every person that had a kid that said, seeing my son, or seeing my baby girl born, holding her. So that feeling, I don't know yet what that feels like, but I know that, what my father has taught me, what my mother has taught me, and what we're doing for the family now, I want to do 10 times more, right? I want to make sure that, my family is taken care of, where people now, when I'm 15, 20 years from now, I'll have a book by then, right? So,
Hmm.
they'll be able to be like, hey, he's definitely somebody that has written a book that can last forever, right?
Hmm.
I'll have, a business that hopefully can, pass on to separate generations, right? And that's something
Hmm.
that I've told you I really want to do, and I'm going to do, by 40, 45, is have a restaurant, right, somewhere. So that restaurant can keep passing into generations. I'll leave my fine print somewhere, right? Whether it's
Yeah.
growing a tree with certain part of my body in there or something, I don't know, but something where I know, plant a tree that lasts forever, right?
The world
Write a
needs
book.
Jose Lopez to be eternal.
Yeah. Something that I can leave forever.
Yeah.
But not only so my kids can see what we've built.
Hmm.
My goal is to also, I know Sarah and I, we always have separate arguments on this, but my goal is to have one of my kids also be in the Marine Corps. So if I can have that happen, that's where I feel like I'll have a huge legacy, is having one of my kids be a Marine too, because everything I've learned, whether it's in business or in family and life,
Hmm.
I have a lot of respect from the Marine Corps and what I've learned from them.
No, I can appreciate that. That was your foundation, brother, and you can see how it served you so much. And yeah, the Marines are the tip of the spear. So that's not the greatest thing for a mama. You know what I'm saying? No
Yeah,
mama wants her boys going into the Marines. She knows who's first on the ground. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I can definitely understand that. No, but I can also appreciate and I have the same sentiment as you. I want to leave a mark for the world. I want to leave a mark for my kids, and then absolutely, I would love for them to follow my footsteps, but I can also appreciate if they don't and they go out and do their own thing. So 100%, brother. Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of the day. I know you're busy as all get out right now, and you guys are doing fantastic. So I want to congratulate you again on your success, and thank you for coming on the show, brother.
hey, thanks a lot, Doug. Yeah, I really appreciate you, man. A good friend, a good father. You helped me a lot in the solar space. So I definitely will connect with you when I get into Dallas in 2 weeks, and we can definitely enjoy a nice tequila somewhere. I know that's something that you and I bond well with, right? A lot of uh, tequila. I don't know if you still have those in your bar.
Yeah, I still have some of the tequila that you got me left. Every now and then, you know what I mean. When I'm feeling frisky, I'll sip on it a little bit. It's so freaking good, dude.
Yeah, let me know when
But you
you're
got me
running
two
low.
different ones. I finished
Yeah,
that first one, and then you got me the second one. That one's
familiar.
still going for sure.
Okay. So now I know. Okay. So I'll restock you soon, and I'll send you another one. So you always have two and you get to choose from. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
extrañejo. So I'll get you a nice gift soon, brother.
No,
I appreciate you a lot, Doug.
All right, brother. Let's get building.
All right, bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Building Great Sales Teams. We appreciate it. Be sure to execute on everything that you just heard, and let's get building. Before we sign off, we'd like to invite you to join our Brickyard community. Head on over to jointhebrickyard.com. Again, that's jointhebrickyard.com, or click the link in the description to find out more.